So, a very good morning to everyone who's watching. We are coming to you live from BETT 2024. Very happy to be here, very happy to have a bit of time to talk to you, with you, and with my dear colleague about sustainability in education and the special angle we might want to take looking at sustainability in education. My name is Ben Schneider. I'm leading Lenovo's services and solutions sales business in EMEA. I've been doing that for the past 5 years, and I've been part of operationalizing our sustainability services and solutions offerings. And I have with me my dear colleague.
Hi, I'm Phil Caley. I'm a program manager for Lenovo, working within sustainability solutions. I've been in the business for 18 months, but I come to it with 20 years experience of the circular economy. So hopefully I can offer input into how we can make things more sustainable within education.
Perfect. Maybe, Phil, you can kick us off by giving us a few viewpoints, a few ideas around why does sustainability, if it comes to usage and deployment of technology, why does sustainability matter and how does it matter in education?
I think there's several reasons why sustainability is important within education, Ben. I think as much as anything else, it's the generation that's within education at the moment who are really going to drive forward the sustainability initiatives that our generation is putting forward. So whereas in the workplace and in education at the moment, legislations are coming in from governments, such as the UK government insisting that there's a sustainability lead by 2025 in every education setting. But alongside that, it's our generation that are putting this through, or bringing it through to life. It's the generation that's within education at the moment who are actually going to bring this forward and realize it as time goes by.
Okay, no, that's an interesting one, and I think probably it's also around living and breathing sustainability and instilling a sustainability mindset among students in education, telling them technology is not a throwaway article. There should be a sustainable approach to handling things. You know what I like to think also when I think about sustainability in education? Partially, selfishly, it's also about spending taxpayers' money wisely.
Absolutely.
Right? We don't want our good tax money go to waste. Now, a bit more concretely, maybe, what are the offerings and what are then the benefits to the educational institutions thinking about education?
I think there's several things we can look at when we go into education. One that springs to mind is our asset recovery service. So, and I say our asset recovery service, it's across the board in terms of asset recovery, but PCs, laptops will become unsuitable for use in education settings after 3 or 4 years. People are upgrading to the newer versions. And there's always the question about what do you do with the old version of the equipment? So we offer an ARS, an asset recovery service, where we can take away the customers or the education setting's old devices. We can offer them fair market value for the device, but more importantly than anything else, they get money back for these devices to go against the taxpayers' money that's being spent. However, we can then give that device a second lease of life. So we can take the devices, have them refurbished, and then put them back into life cycle somewhere else in the world. So we do this, not only do we ensure that all the customers' data is removed from the device, but we ensure that less than 2% of everything that comes back goes to landfill. So we're responsibly recycling.
Oh, that's impressive statistics. I didn't know about the 2% going to the landfill in the end only. Are there any other areas, any other aspects, or is it only the end of a device's life cycle where sustainability matters?
No, I think sustainability comes in during the entire life cycle of a device. From the moment that you plan the initial purchase all the way through to end of life. So on the initial purchase plan, you can look at, okay, what can I buy that's creating less of a carbon footprint in terms of the devices? Every device has a carbon footprint. Some devices generate more than others. So you can, at the moment you're planning the sale, you can look at which device gives me the lesser carbon footprint. You can then from there move into, okay, let's say for example, my carbon footprint starts quite high. How can I reduce that down? I can reduce it down by using bulk packaging, for example. So if an institution is buying
1,000 machines, why do they need to be 1,000 individually boxed machines? You could have them segregated with dividers, put them on a pallet. You can reduce, on 1,000 devices, you can reduce not only the weight of the shipment, which will reduce the shipment cost, but also the carbon impact that makes through reducing both the packaging and the transport. So that's very beneficial. You can ship via sea rather than via air. If you ship via air, you can always use reduced carbon transport. And then once you've reduced the carbon offset or the carbon output down to as low a number as you possibly can, we then, as you very well know, offer the carbon offset system within Lenovo, which I think you were instrumental in bringing to the business.
Yeah, maybe before commenting on that quickly, what works very well in the corporate space that I'm responsible for also is talking about the double positive benefit many of those sustainability solutions have, right? Yeah. So if you ship the PCs via sea rather than putting them on a plane, on the one hand side you reduce the CO2 during transportation, but on the other hand, it's also a cost saving that's possible, right? If you optimize support throughout the life cycle, that you have more advanced technical support, then you reduce the necessary amount of on-site interventions where a technician actually goes on site, drives with his little car to repair a machine. You can reduce that number by more professional, better support structure, yeah? So I really like the holistic approach that you mentioned, going all across the life cycle from cradle to grave. And then once you have driven down the CO2 as much as you can, yes, that's where our CO2 offset services come in, that we have big success with. I will be open to say that's probably a transition offering, yeah. But at the moment there's a very robust scheme to offset the remaining carbon emissions through investing in projects that are vetted by the United Nations that drive benefits to the environment. Anything else to add?
I was going to say, we've sort of touched on the point of purchase through to actually receiving the device. I think once the device is received, bearing in mind we're talking about education settings where they're probably treated a little bit rougher than they would be in the corporate world. We do also, as part of the overall sustainability offering, there are things like accidental damage protection, which ensure that if devices are damaged in the education environment, that we can get them quickly repaired or replaced. And so that's also very beneficial in this scenario.
That's a good one. Maybe now we spoke about how sustainability matters in education. We spoke about the benefits to the institution. We partially covered some benefits for Lenovo also, to be quite honest, yeah. But how does it all benefit the planet in the end? How?
I think ultimately it benefits the planet, as in our manufacturing processes are reducing carbon output. With every new iteration of device that comes out, we're reducing the carbon footprint of that device. By the fact that we can then reduce it further by bulk packaging, by the sea freight or the reduced carbon transport, as we've already discussed, the overall carbon output into the environment is going to be reduced, as is felling of trees or whatever's involved in the actual packaging. Even if we use bamboo packaging, it's still generating less waste by using the services that we've discussed.
No, that's very good. I think what I would want to add is really, again, the point around the mindset, right? So, and I'm a sinner, I have to say. Listen, I have access to technology working for Lenovo, but I have a drawer at home that I can open where I have a stack of old smartphones, yeah. That's not a very sustainable approach to things, and I'm not alone with that drawer full of old phones. We should bring them back to the cycle, and we should instill that sustainability mindset. Technology is not a throwaway product. Absolutely. And if we work with the educational institutions to offer those solutions and to make transparent how are devices treated, how are they repaired, how are they refurbished, recycled at the end of life cycle, that might help trigger a bit of a mindset.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And I think one of the things that we offer to the education institutions is we can give that transparency of what happens to the devices. The way that, when they do reach end of life, we can prove that all the data has been wiped from the device, but more importantly, we can prove that those devices have been recycled and reused rather than ending up in landfill.
Very good. Listen, I think we can probably get to the end of our little chat here. What I would like to hear from you, from your experience, which is much more extensive than mine, yeah, in working with customers, with institutions, what differentiates the ones that are successful in implementing sustainability initiatives from the ones that are maybe not so successful?
It's a good question. I think those that are successful tend to be leaders within their fields. So even within the education sector, we see some universities who have a real pull through some of the schemes that they're implementing at the moment, whether that's recycling or reusing devices, or whether it's carbon capture schemes, carbon offset schemes. Education settings such as that seem to be leading the way. And I think they're the ones that are always going to be the ones that want to partner with people like ourselves in this instance.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think when I look also at my practical experience, it's rather those institutions or corporations that just get going, that maybe start with those little steps, yeah. And maybe thinking about the end of life of your devices is a good starting point. I like to talk about the discussions we are having around asset recovery services with some institutions. You would think there is a process. Often there is not. Often we start by saying, hey, let me help you clean up your basement. And then we find old equipment that can have quite a substantial residual value or pose a substantial risk if the data on those devices would get into the wrong hands.
Absolutely, and I think this is where we talked previously about the steps that you take. Like you say, it's the perfect opportunity is to partner with somebody who's starting on that journey, because not only can you show them what solutions are available, you can arrange consulting sessions with them to help them really mold the path that they need to follow. And they are great people to work with because they are adaptable and open to change as it comes.
No, that sounds good. Yeah, let me maybe wrap it up by saying there is a distinct viewpoint on sustainability in education. Lenovo is ready to help you along the way. Let's maybe start with small steps. Let's start together. Yeah. I would thank you for your attention. I would wish you all a lovely day, and we'll have busy 3 days ahead of us. So let's have some fun together.
That's great, Ben. Thanks, everybody.